That consideration of a piece of toast actually provides us with a pretty good segue into maybe a hook for ancient Mesopotamian societies, and especially a group of people known as Sumerians. So, the first group of people we want to study produced these two things right here. If you paid attention to your textbook reading, specifically page 27, you might recognize the thing on the left. It's the Great Ziggurat of Ur. This is something that was made up of about 720,000 baked clay bricks. It rose to a height of 100 feet, and it's something that was originally built probably about 4,200 years ago. So if you think about everything that needs to go into that, right? To create bricks, you need to have artisans who know how to do that. To make 720,000 of them, you're going to need a whole ton of people. They probably need to have that as their sole occupation, whether they're doing it willingly or whether they're enslaved. If they're doing that full time, you need to have other groups of people who can produce food for them, who can supply water for them, who can provide houses for them. This is obviously a huge undertaking. You're going to need organization because hundreds of people aren't just randomly going to come together and build something like this. If you're making something this big, it's probably for a statement, right? And all of this helps us get to an understanding that people who lived in ancient Sumeria, who had among a variety of different city-states in common these features of ziggurats, which, as you know from the reading, were temples and where people believed that gods figuratively lived at the top. That provided a lot of identity for these folks and helps us understand a lot about what they valued. If you look at the other image I have here, this is something that is found in one of, or was found in one of the burial chambers in a ziggurat at Ur. It is a battle standard. It's the type of thing that would have been put on a pole and carried in front of an army. And if you look at it closely, again, you can learn a lot about these folks. You can probably take a pretty good guess as to who the person in charge is. The guy who's really big, right? Does that mean the king was bigger than everyone else? No, this is going to be a distortion, right? This is something that is created to make him look more important. But if you look more closely, you can see, hey, animals are domesticated by this point. You can see that they've developed the wheel. And if they've developed the wheel, and this is an area that's largely desert, and if you've ever tried to drive a car on the beach, you know that wheels don't do so well in the sand, which means that you need to have a network of roads. You can look closely and see they've developed metal weapons, that these folks are very militaristic. You can see them actually with some people captives in chains. You can see them driving over enemies in battle. And this helps us understand that these folks are very warlike. And because they inhabit an environment where there isn't a lot of fertile ground, they're probably going to be very territorial, and they're probably going to be very aggressive as they expand. So all these things help inform our understanding of a group of people who didn't leave behind necessarily a lot of writing, but who eventually do produce some huge innovations that are going to become vastly important for them as a society.